Okay, this is a tutorial on how to load 16mm film into an Arri 416 magazine. These are designed for 400-foot rolls or 200-foot as long as it's on a core. It doesn't take spools, so you'll see it's got the take-up side, which is what the film ends up on. So when you're loading it, you want to flip it around to and take off the cover here. And you'll see the feed side. If you were in the dark, it's also got this indented F in case you forget which side is which. So the first thing you want to do is you want to open it. There's a little catcher here to prevent it from opening very easily on the set. So you want to open that there, pop off the top. Now this is what you'll see inside the magazine. I actually have a core in here already. I'll just take that out. So this right here is the manual film counter that runs along the inside there and connects right here to this counter right here. So you can see how much film you have in there on the set. So this drawing here shows the direction you want the film to travel when you're loading it. The film, when you're loading film in here, this part has to be done in complete darkness. Today I'll show you how to do it in the light for reference purposes, but this has to be done in complete darkness or in a changing bag or a dark room. Okay, so you would get your can of film. Looks like this. This is a can for 400 feet of 16mm film. This is obviously a dummy roll and it's only about 200 feet. Some stocks you can get 200-foot rolls, so they would look like this, come on a core, but obviously you wouldn't want to open your film can in the light like this. That would ruin it. So this would all be done in the darkness. So you would take your 400 or 200-foot roll, and it doesn't matter where on this core it goes on, as long as you just snap it on here. Snaps in there, you can feel it snap in. Re-put the manual film gauge counter there, and you're going to take your loop and loop it around this corner here, and then make it so the emulsion side, the brighter side, is out, and feed it through this little loop right here. Not too much, just a bit, and then that's all it takes. You are done the part that needs to be done in absolute darkness. From there you can just close up the magazine. Again, still do this part in the dark, close it up there. Make sure it's locked tight and pull at it so it's not going to flop open as soon as you get out of the dark and ruin your film. This part is now complete, and we can move on to the take-up side, which can be done in the light. So once you're done that side, you flip open the take-up side, and you'll see your little film loop right here. Okay, now once you have your loop threaded through here, you want to again follow the drawings on the bottom of the magazine. So loop it around here, and this part right here, if you look closely, it's a little sprocket that has little catchers that'll catch onto the perforations of the film. So you just feed it through there. Now this whole magazine is connected with its sprocket system. So if you see, if I turn these, they all move together. So what you want to do is, when you have it right, you should be able to pull on this guy here, and the perforations will catch as they are, and it will feed itself through the magazine, and you can see it coming out right here. Okay, now this is the tricky part of loading this magazine. So here's the gate. You want to bring it down across the gate, and at the bottom of the magazine you'll see a white line. That is what Arri says the length of this loop should be. I like to go a bit longer than it. You can correct it later, but that's what this white line here is for. So now this is the tricky part right here. So I'm going to flip it around. Is getting it into this hole right here is the hardest part of loading this entire magazine. And I'll show you a trick, hopefully, that'll help you get into it. So I'm going to point this out to you. When you're feeding it into this hole, try to feed your film at this top wall up here. This top part, as far high as it'll go, feed it along that top part. I'm going to do it face down, but you have to imagine it's touching this top wall here. Feed it through there and down so that it'll hopefully catch onto this sprocket right here. Then if it successfully does, you should be able to just pull it right through. There, just like that. You see it now, it's pulling through. Here's the film right here. It's correctly pulled through. And again, follow the drawing. So it wants you to connect, and then bam, we're ready to connect it to the core right here. But before we do that, you want to check the length of your loop. The length of your loop right here, if you press down on the film gate, there's a little, it's very, very hard to see, but in there, there's a little white line. I'm not sure if I can get you guys to see it well enough. There's a little white line in there that says how big your loop should be. Our loop is a little big right now. So again, this is the consequence of taking a little more feed using that white line here on the bottom. I took a bit more, so that's why our loop is too long. So there is a way to fix that. This little button right here, you can press it. It's a little release. So you press this little release right here, and then when you turn the gears, only the one gear will move. So what we can do is we can feed more of the film this way, which will shorten this loop without moving the rest of the film. So there, just by doing that, we've already shortened the loop considerably. In fact, I may have shortened it too much. So again, this is all about practice, but that's no problem. So again, press this button down. Now let's go the other way. Let's give some loop back. So you can see the loop over here is getting longer. There. So now press down on it. That's about a good loop size right there. You'll know, you might say, well, how do I know what loop size should be? The Arri 416 is smart enough to know when you load the mag onto the camera body and hit the phase button, the camera will sense whether your loop is proper. If it's not, it'll give you the loop error and it'll tell you to redo your loop. So you will know if you got it right because the camera is smart enough to tell you if you got it right. Then the final step here is to simply connect it to an empty core. You're supposed to fit it in this little hole right here, but depending on how you have your core attached, I mean, we can take the time to pull it off, reposition it so that part's easily grabbable by the film. So we just stick it in there like that and then catch it on there and then pull the film. They say about 3 times around, but just enough so that it's not going anywhere. And then there, your film is loaded. Remember, the final step here, lower the take up counter so you'll know how much film has been taken up manually. And then we just have to close the magazine. And that is how you load the magazine for an Arri 416. You can see film in the gate. And then the final step, if you're not immediately shooting with it, is put the little protector cap back on the mag and put it in your gear, and you have a loaded magazine ready to shoot on the Arri 416.